after 10 million years, especially me. Hello, bonjour. I was trying to say hello in multiple languages and I blanked on how to do that. Ni hao. Welcome to the Ali and Renie show.
Don't you know like a billion different ways to say hello now at this point?
Well, yeah, I know a few, but I was like trying to not, fall back on my usual culprits. But anyways, bonjour, hello, hola. This is the Ali and Renie show where I'm Renie, I'm Irene, hi, and Ali, we talk about world building and story writing, pertaining to both comics and novels. We're both fantasy writers. I have a fantasy comic. Ali has a fantasy novel. So we've been leaning more towards like free form discussion, but we have a general topic and we just talk about it. Talk about a subject that relates to world building. So welcome. If you're interested in that, stick around, hit like, and yeah, hope you enjoy the show. I know I've actually had a few new subscribers, so if anyone who's new is here, welcome as well. Thank you for subscribing. Let's see who's in chat. TC, member for 7 months with a member chat. Thank you so much. Hello to the lovely Renie and Ali. Thank you. Thank you for being a member. Let's see. I feel so weird after having not streamed for like a month because I was in Colombia for a whole ass month. And then, well, since I got back,
it was Puerto Rico.
No, I was in Colombia. Yeah, I have some good friends in Colombia, so I was visiting them, and it's like I could stream, but it was really hard to host streams because I brought a computer with me. But anyways, I don't have my whole setup, and so it was awkward. So that's why I haven't streamed on my channel for so long. But it definitely feels strange. So hopefully I'm not too awkward and terrible today. I will do my best. Linkovich is here, says Ali and Renie. Hello. Hi. That is that name changes, says there we go. Yes, Billy Powermax is here. Hello. Maromi is here. John Devoist. Mo Biggs is here. Hello. Thank you for the links. And who else is here? Dale A. That's me, so I'll ignore me. And TC, hello. Dark Gift is here. Hi. All the regulars. Thank you for being here, everybody. You're all awesome. Oh, Dark Gift sent a chat member for 10 months. Thank you for being a channel member, stopping by to wish you ladies a Merry Christmas. Yes, Merry Christmas, everybody. Oh my gosh, it is really close to Christmas. It's like a week. Or a little.
It is.
Yeah, a little more than a week.
Over a week.
Mm-hmm. My gosh.
Less than 2 weeks.
Shocking. Time flies. Time flies.
Tempest well, Merry Christmas. Fugit, indeed.
Tempest Fugit. Michael Dicha is here. Hello. Labas Vacaras? Damos?
Sure.
What language is that? Something. Damos is like dames, right? So women? I don't know what language that is. I'm gonna.
Dames.
Dames. That would be cool. Is that women in some languages? Because that's where my mind goes. I always try to look for like root words and stuff. Woodrow is here. Hale. And Kevin Ryan is here. Hi, what's up? And do you want to play a game? Oh my god, Allie's alive. Yes, Allie's alive. She's been around.
I am alive. Hopefully I'm getting all this stuff about my immune system and everything figured out on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm mostly better.
That's what, yeah, first I was in Colombia and then Allie was sick. So, but hopefully Allie is feeling better. And,
my voice is kind of stupid still, but like we're good. We're mostly good. And I'm crazy less stressed because I have my own place and it's great.
Yes, I think, is this the first time we've done the show since you've been on my channel, since you've been in your new place? I think it is. It's only been a couple months since you've been there, right?
On your channel?
Yeah.
I don't know. I moved in August.
Okay, maybe I'm crazy. Oh no, you had your background blurred out or something, but yes, belated congrats on your own place.
Yeah, I had like a library as the background because I was still unpacking, but I'm all like unpacking everything has a place now.
Cool. Awesome. Dean is here as well. Yo, what's up? Hello, hello. All right. So, the subject that I thought of talking
Mo
about.
said Ali flipped the state red single-handedly. That's true. I did that. You're welcome. Sorry.
Yes, just Ali's one vote. Flip the state.
No, because I had to vote in Florida.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, because you moved recently. Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense. You can't.
But my presence uplifted Georgia.
Yes, that's what happened.
There's a lot to unpack with Ali, says Mo. I'm sorry. I try to not, and then it just does.
There's a lot to unpack with all of us, all right? We're all kind of in need of a lot of help, but that's okay. We're all the same. Right. I don't have a fancy presentation ready as Ali had in the past. So like I said, especially when I'm hosting, we just veer towards free-form discussion because I'm not great at preparing presentations. But I think this is a subject that we can talk about at length. What I thought of talking about is power scaling. And what that means, which I thought it was apparent, but I guess it is kind of a bit of a niche term. I think it's actually a gaming term, and I've been using it in reference to writing because, as some of you know, I play a lot of tabletop games, and so when I'm writing, I think like a DM, like I'm writing a fantasy book, and I just think of it like, I think of Fiendish like I'm DMing the world and the characters. So power scaling is basically how power levels are structured in a story. And it's especially important for what I'm doing because I'm writing a hard magic system, which means the actual abilities of every character, like the different levels of power, and types of magic and types of power are very clearly defined. As opposed, hard magic systems are that term is in contrast to soft magic systems, which is like magical realism, or Tolkien's magic system is pretty soft. It's more, well, what emotionally feels like is right in the moment, and that's the magic. What I'm doing is different, and I usually prefer hard magic systems. Tolkien's an exception. But anyways, so power scaling concerns how believable characters incremental improvement in power is. And when it comes to gaming, it's important to keep power scaling in mind because it's in like tabletops we call it CR. I'm just going to start nerding out about Pathfinder now. It's called CR. What that is basically the difficulty level of an encounter, and you want to balance the difficulty level of an encounter with the level that your characters are at. And when it comes to storytelling, I feel like it mirrors what needs to be done in certain stories, especially if characters are supposed to be improving their abilities. Well, what are the increments of their improvement, and is it done in a believable way, so on and so forth. So there you go. I hope that's a concise enough explanation of power scaling. Maybe I didn't do a good job.
No, you
does
did
that make
a pretty
sense?
Good job. And
cool.
No, I understand. And no worries. I can, like I said, I can pretty much talk about anything. It would be nice if I had time to do it, but I wouldn't have had time today to make one anyway. Like I said in the chat, I will make one for whatever we talk about next time. But also, if you remember, I had wanted to mention and see if people would like something else too. So you forgot. That's okay. I'll bring it up.
Okay, yeah, bring it up. I totally remember. Yeah. Me good memory. Sorry.
So power scaling, I'm sure has times where it works and when it's done incorrectly, just like anything. So do you want to take examples from, well, you know what? Why don't you just start however you would feel like starting?
Well,
Because I was just gonna think about like examples that I thought were good and bad examples of power scaling and sort of flounder in that.
I think that's a good place to start. So, in I wanted to talk about this because I've been watching an anime called Frieren recently, and it's really, really good. And I was thinking that, especially in a lot of shonen-ish anime, power scaling is important because it's a huge theme of shonen. Is it's usually like a young guy character, and they're like, "Oh, I need to be the best." So of course, like, and there's training a certain skill. So of course, that power levels come into play. Isn't that
every anime where they're just like, no matter what, I'm gonna do my very best?
No, that's just shonen. There are other genres of anime that don't concern that at all.
Oh wow, that's what I've watched in the most recent animes that I've been watching, and every single time, like the main character is always just like, it's really hard and everything's against me, but no matter what, I'm gonna do my best. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute.
That's shonen anime mostly, which is the by far the largest subgenre of anime and manga is shonen, because it's targeted at essentially teen boys. We watched
Solo Leveler, and then something about eating food in a dungeon, like eating the monsters in a dungeon. I forget what it was called.
Oh, Dungeon Meshi.
Yeah, and then we watched the live action of Yu Yu Hakusho, which is actually really good.
Oh, okay. All right. I have only watched the beginning of Yu Yu Hakusho, and then I didn't watch it anymore.
I think it's good because they did it all in Japanese. So, like, it's all Japanese people, and the stuntmen are having so much fun.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Delicious in Dungeon. Thank you, Dean. Yeah, Delicious
That's Dungeon Meshi. The Japanese
name is Dungeon in Japanese. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. In each of those, it was always like all these dudes are always just like, I'm gonna do my very best. Like, no matter what, I'm gonna try do my best. And I'm like, cool. And then they do.
Yeah,
like, this is what was delivered. This is what was promised, and it has been delivered.
That's a lot of anime, shonen anime. Mo is in hell. Well, yes, we'll be talking about a lot of anime. I predict today. So Mo, you poor thing.
Even in
I'll pray for you.
Even in what is it? The Titan thing.
Attack on Titan.
Don't Attack on Titan. Yeah. Even in that, like that kid who ends up going totally psycho, he's just like, I'm gonna work really hard and do my best. Like, and then he becomes insane, but like still, they worked hard and they were their best.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a shonen anime.
Demon Slayer. He does that too in Demon Slayer.
Yes, you're just listing shonen animes. Okay. but so
sorry.
I want to point out something. No. It's fine, because these are good examples, because anime does it really well, and I think this is why it appeals to people, especially young people, because, well, young people, at least when I was young, I wanted to feel like, well, I have my whole life ahead of me. What am I working towards? I want to feel motivated to work towards a goal, and I want role models that show me how to persevere and work towards a goal and make something of myself, and shonen anime is just that. So I think that's part of why it's so appealing, and getting the power scaling right is part of that, and making all that believable. Jake has been asking some great questions. Hello, Hyper Wizard Jake, in the chat. I will pull those up.
Look at him trying to get us to talk about stuff that we weren't going to talk about.
No, that's great. So this is what happens. So we come up with a subject where we don't prepare. At least I don't prepare. Ali prepares PowerPoints like most of the time. I'm not prepared. So I just come here, ramble on, the chat, ask questions, and I'm like, I'll try to answer them, and that's the show. So thank you, chat. If you have any questions, please ask them so I can have an actual show and something to talk about. Thanks.
But tonight I'm caught off guard because I wasn't 100% sure what she was talking about. So when it's my turn, and usually she talks more about anime, and I talk and comics, and I talk more about classic literature and stuff. Like this will be fun. I think I have some ideas so far. But anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
Great, cool.
I wanted to feel cool and be like, I know things too.
So, no, you do know things. Those are some great examples. Very well done. I didn't know you've seen that much anime, so I'm glad you brought it out. Usually, I'm the animus person. At least, like, I read books. So I'm glad we're kind of on the same page with anime today. Yay, weeb show. So I wanted to mention that, well, power scaling also concerns stories that aren't so much about, ooh, I can be the best. So Frieren, the current anime that I'm obsessed over, is a fantasy anime, which is really, really good. Everybody should go watch it, by the way. But the premise is that an adventuring party, the story starts when an adventuring party returns from defeating the demon lord. Like, they already defeated it. And so the anime starts at the end of a journey, and the subtitle of Frieren is Beyond Journey's End. And as the show goes on, you kind of figure out why it's titled that, because the main character is an elf, and elves live for thousands of years, and almost everyone else in her party is a human, and there's dwarf, and dwarves live long, but not as long as elves. So anyways, people in her party start dying, and she kind of, the main character, this elf, she has this really cavalier attitude towards time. She's like, 50 years is nothing to me. So but because she has no urgency in her life, because she takes time for granted, the humans in her party that she spent like 10 years adventuring with, they die off before she got to know them very well, because she kind of leaves, and by the next time she comes back to see them, they're all old, and then they're at the end of their lives already. And then the rest of the story is her journeying on a new quest to retrace their footsteps. And also she's heard of this place where souls go and you can talk to the dead, so she's trying to go there. And it's like kind of melancholy. It's kind of it's a little slice of lifey. It's a weird blend of, it's slice of lifey, but it also has really good battle scenes. So the power scaling and the magic is done really well, but the show is normally very calm. When they're not fighting, when they're fighting, they go all out. When they're not fighting, it's very calm and very character based. So I like that dichotomy. It's very hard to define that show as, even, is it shonen? Is it seinen? What is it? It's honestly just very well done fantasy, and I like that premise. It's something I haven't seen done before. But the power scaling in that show is also important because, for example, in one of the episodes, I thought this was really cool. So by the current timeline of Frieren going on this journey and retracing her footsteps with her companions, it's been like 80 years since they've defeated the Demon King, right? And as her and her new companions travel, they come across a sort of like a sub-Demon King, like a general of the Demon King that they actually couldn't defeat at the time. I'm sorry, I need to like lay the groundwork and explain the story first. And that they couldn't defeat at the time, and they just froze him in time. They just like froze him, but now that ward is breaking off, the spell is wearing off, so she has to return to kill him for good, if that makes sense. And what happens is, when Frieren has her apprentice fight this demon general, and they used a spell that 80 years ago was brand new. It was this huge killing spell that the general constructed, and it was devastating. But in modern times, Frieren's apprentice uses it, or she sees it being used, and she's like, this is just normal attack magic. And what had happened is, in the 80 years since that demon general invented this spell to kill humans had, and he got frozen, humans had taken his spell, refined it, learned it, and it's become just normal attack magic instead of this new scary thing that nobody knows, that hasn't been invented before. And there's like, that creates a sense of history to the magic system of the world. And also there's so many levels to it. It also defines humans as, they're not long lived, but they're very innovative in their short lives, is kind of the impression that I get. So much was established with that setup, and I thought that was really good. and certain other things. I'll just mention really quick. There was like this whole test arc where they're testing for like to see what level mages they were. But anyhow, Frieren is kind of like fantasy little elf One Punch Man, where she's ridiculously powerful, but there are little things in they construct the magic system as there's nuance to it. So she has one weakness that she kind of tries to hide, but then people figure it out, and it's that when she's firing off a spell, her defenses are down for like a split second. So these little details, that's one weakness she has that certain people have to exploit later on in the story. And it's not a completely hard magic system, because it's not like they sit down and explain these are the domains and these are the types of magic, which I want to do that for Fiendish, but I think in Frieren it works because they don't, it's kind of like D&D. There's a lot of different types of magic, and there's certain spells, and when you learn a spell, it can only do one specific thing, and that's all you need to know. But spells are also a scientific endeavor, and you have to study, you have to learn it, and so on and so forth, and that's established. And then whether how powerful someone is depends on how many spells they learn and their mana levels. So that all combined, I thought that was really well done. And to conclude, power leveling doesn't just apply to shonen or stories that are about, well, I want to improve my strength. It can apply to anything, any sort of fantasy world building. The end.
The end.
The end. Jake is asking more questions. I will answer all of them. That's great. Hey, Wolfler is here. Hello, finally caught a Building Worlds. Thank you for being here. Yes.
Well, finally we have one.
Finally, we haven't really done a show in like a month, so it's not really your fault.
Well, I haven't seen the anime that you're talking about, but
yeah, it's fine. I don't.
Would you say that Full Metal Alchemist? Because I know that's one you like, and it's what I have seen the beginning of anyway, some of it. Would you say that the power having consequences is a good way to begin your power scaling?
So I see what you mean.
Yeah, the pursuit of that, alchemical power comes with this, devastation, which obviously drives the plot and gives them their character arcs. But it has those clear limitations, so it causes the tension, which forces these characters whose names I can't remember to
Ed and Al,
yes,
which I'm glad you brought up FMA, because FMA is great. I love FMA. Thank you, Ali.
You're welcome. It forces them to think creatively and collaborate, and it keeps the stakes high. So am I getting the concept correctly?
I think yes. I think that
I want to make sure I have it right before I translate this into like what Ali's actually read.
Right. So the question is, does having a failure point and consequences tie into good power scaling?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. So for example, if I don't think it's necessary, but I think it helps because it makes it more believable. For example, what is the cost of magic in a world? What is the fuel for some other the thing in the world? And the FMA does it really well by just establishing it right in the first scene. But there's consequences to certain types of alchemy in FMA and or just magic, and there's a personal cost to casting magic, for example, in Fiendish, I mean, I decided to just keep it simple. It's for human casters, they cast using their aura, which is like mana, but I call it aura. It's like somebody's, general just life energy. And if they cast too much, they can drain their own life energy and they can pass out, or they can cast a rune that's so strong they end themselves. Or they can, there's other things they can do that'll make themselves go crazy. And I actually really like that. I like a magic system where there's a consequence to going overboard, and it'll drive someone crazy to pursue a certain type of magic too much, so on and so forth. I think it's not necessary, but it helps. There you go.
So that would be like a limitation for a powered character.
Yeah, so it's not just, getting better. It's, also managing limitations as you try to get better, if that makes sense.
Right. So the abilities could only work under specific conditions, or like in Superman, where they're in proximity or too close to a particular element. Or like in my book, where they're emotionally balanced in some way or imbalanced. I feel like that would add layers to their abilities and make it easier to influence the plot. Because it would challenge your characters and could lead to moral dilemmas.
It could.
Theoretically.
Depending on the type of magic. I wonder if I should reveal this about, if you actually just came up with a plot point that's really good, that definitely concerns consequences with magic. So it does come to play in Fiendish, and one of the characters lost someone to them experimenting with or trying to innovate certain types of rune casting. Magic in Fiendish is called rune casting, or at least in the continent that the story takes place in. Anyways, and there's sort of a debate amongst the, this person's family that's left behind. They're split over, they kind of died doing what they love, so we should complete their work, or no, this was just something stupid and they were used for this forbidden magic, and I hate everybody that led them down this path. So I think that you can use these limitations and consequences to magical abilities and your magic system to push character development. I think that's when the stories get really good.
Right. I mean, an easy example, I think, is probably just like Spider-Man. Having the power period led to consequences, and gaining power in itself could be an ethical dilemma. Because it's like, do you now have the obligation to use it the way that Superman felt that he had?
Yeah, absolutely. Or do you have an obligation to use it for good at all?
I've never read these as comics, and I'm just like, I've seen the movies, so I know some things.
Yeah. Neither of us are big American comics fans, but don't tell people that. Don't tell people that we only read real books and manga.
We only read real books and Sandman.
Only Sandman, nothing else. The Archcast, Arch is here for Norwegian Krona 200. Thank you so much. Arch says, how about reactive power scaling?
Wait, does he live in Norway?
Yeah.
I have some lost media that you can only find in Norway. And twice people have tried to help me find it, and they haven't been able to get it. And I know it's there.
I know several people who live in Norway. Do you need help?
I do.
Okay. Well, maybe we can.
My favorite book of all time was written by this Norwegian guy named Tormod Haugen. And I found out in the 80s. Huh?
I just said that's a great name.
Oh, yeah. I found out that in the 80s, they made a movie based on this book. and you can't find it anywhere except this one place in Norway, but nobody can help me get it. I went through a whole thing.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, you can just tweet out, does anybody live in Norway? Can you help me get this thing?
I've done it a couple times. They always get it, and then they're like, I can't get it. And I'm like,
okay.
Sorry. I got distracted by the Norway because this is like my dream. If I could get this movie, I don't even care that it wouldn't probably be translated. Because it was translated into Spanish, like Spain Spanish, German, and French, but not English. But I don't even care because it's my favorite book. So if I could get it, it would be great.
Do you need Spain Spanish? I mean, I know more people who speak Spanish than people who live in Norway. You know that, right?
No, I don't know who you know.
I don't know something about the time. I don't know Spanish. Not like Spain Spanish people. Well, anyhow.
Yes. I'm sorry.
But in chat, if anybody lives in Norway or knows about this writer, please help Ali. We are out now on a quest.
It's called Zeppelin. And there's another movie that is always confused with it, but that's not what it is. It's about a little boy and a little girl.
Okay. Henry Bemis says, isn't all Spanish Spain Spanish? No, they're different types of Spanish. I mean, it's all mutually intelligible. It's the same language, but it's not just the accents, the wording, the inflection and the slang. So Mexican Spanish is very slangy.
Differently.
Yeah, it's quite different.
H's.
It's like different Mandarin accents. It's like we can understand each other, but boy, do people talk differently from different parts of like the Sinosphere. Okay, and not sinus, like Sinosphere. That's much.
I'm sorry, Archcast.
So anyways, right, how about reactive power scaling? I have a lot of chats to get to, especially from Jake. I'll get to all of them and some questions from Down Go Solo, so hold tight. I'm working on a science fiction setting. The factions up their military power weapons in response to enemies, like a stratospheric bomber to level cities because some aliens don't surrender. That... Yeah, I would say, can I think of examples? Well, that's exactly, that's sort of what I was mentioning with that example in Frieren. So humans developed their offensive magic in reaction to this demon general. And I think reactive power scaling definitely adds a layer of believability to your story because it's not that, well, I like it when a story explains where certain abilities or technologies come from. It gives your work a sense of history, right? So it's sure like a story can work if the magic just exists or the technology just exists and you don't really explain it. But it's kind of like, well, why do mentats exist in Dune? It's because of the Butlerian Jihad, and because AIs almost took over and whatever, and humans barely fought them. Also, thinking machines are banned, so humans have, in reaction to that, trained their minds to be as powerful as computers, and that's what mentats are. And everything is explained from a past event, and it's in reaction to some kind of disaster or some kind of threat or some kind of necessity. And if the results of the magic or the technology is explained, I think that's great. Like, I think the more you can add that into your story, the better. Like, probably you can... There is a pitfall, I suppose, of over explaining where does everything come from. Like, I don't need to go into the weeds of, well, the history of every single magic domain in Fiendish, right? But I'll go into some of it. I'll mention how the Ispoliad came and taught humans rune casting, and that leveled up their ability to cast magic when previously they were behind compared to other species, because magic systems in my world are defined by species. Every species has a different magical ability, so on and so forth. Just pick certain things to explain that are relevant to the actual story and the characters, and that adds a lot of believability to your world.
I think that could if I'm understanding it right, it would mean that a character could grow stronger potentially too when facing a specific type of enemy. If it's reactive. So like in Final Fantasy, if you're drawing energy or magic from an enemy, that's a way to remove their power while scaling up your character's power. It also would keep battles interesting, because the win wouldn't be totally just dependent on strategy, which is fun, and adaptability, which is cool to write, but it would allow for all that like shift, and it would mean that like a strong character could still be vulnerable, just depending on what they're facing.
I agree.
I feel like I can usually talk faster when I'm more prepared with the subject, so I'm sorry if I'm talking really slow.
No, it's fine and you're sick. So yeah, no. Reactive power scaling, I like that term as well. I haven't heard it. Maybe you invented it, but I do yeah, I think that's great to build into. I guess that has been built into Fiendish, but I hadn't thought of it. It's sort of just, well, it's cool to explain the history of your world and how the technology comes to be or the magic comes to be. So, let's see. People are saying Phil, the Diaz bros are trying to raid into me. Oops. I guess I didn't have raiding turned on. I didn't know. I thought people had been raiding into my streams. I think I just turned it on. Maybe it's too late. I'm sure it's too late. But hello, anybody coming over from the Zaid brothers. Thank you for being here. And sorry. I guess I had it set to nobody can raid into me, but I don't know why I did that. That's kind of stupid. It is now fixed. Thank you. I will go to.
I thought a raid was when they sent like their chat over to watch you.
Yeah, I thought you could because you wait. I specifically did make sure I could be raided, and I thought all you had to do was, well, make your subscriptions public or something like that. Because Bancroft has raided into my streams before, so I don't know why the Diaz's couldn't. Maybe that's I wasn't weird. Subscribed to them. Oops, sorry. I'm pretty sure I am though. Anyways, I've turned it on now, and so hello.
I just realized I didn't share the stream. I'm so sorry. I will go do my part right now.
You better be. How dare you? It's okay.
I'm sorry.
Let's see. Dean is saying dislike unsubscribe reported because we don't read American comics much. Oops. Oh well. Yeah, I mean, I've made no pretenses about it. I read some because I went to school for comics, but comics is more than just superhero stuff. I really like European comics and manga. That's kind of more my wheelhouse. So
you've even drawn for some, so you're fine.
Yeah, I've worked for Marvel, but you know, I've made no secret of the fact that I'm not a huge fan of superhero stuff. I like indie American stuff. There's a lot of I really like Mignola's work. I love Hellboy and stuff like that. Let's see. All right. Jake's asked a million questions.
Simply Green said something I like that I have to mention because it's great. Admiral Thrawn learned about his enemies' culture, their ways of doing things, so as to better deal with them. I freaking love the Thrawn trilogy. It is excellent. Everyone should read it. I will get so excited about the Thrawn trilogy. Mara Jade rocks. But the best part of Admiral Thrawn was that at first, like when I was reading it, I was like, what is this, like all this stupid gay shit about he just starts talking about, have you ever admired the artwork of the blah blah blah, and he just goes on about this art, and I was like, oh, this is so boring. But then he ties it all back around and he's like, by studying their artwork of this culture, I have found their weaknesses, and this is how we will beat them. And I'm like, whoa. I distinctly remember, like, I got shivers. I was like, this guy's a badass. So yeah, Admiral Thrawn is awesome, and those books are a super good. Timothy Zahn, yes. Oh, Henry got it signed. That is sick. So yeah, those books are a really good example of, I would think, having just learned this term tonight, are a really good example of power scaling because of Thrawn, but also because it does explore more into Luke Skywalker building his power and how he uses the Force, but also Leia, which, you know, gets like not much what's the word? It doesn't get a lot of explanation in the movies as to how she uses the Force, but it does in these books. So yeah, Timothy Zahn is a great example of power scaling, and the Thrawn trilogy is excellent. Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Cool. I clearly haven't read it, too. But
that's okay. Yeah, it's a Star Wars thing. It's fine. They're the only Star Wars novels that I've read. But I also, and I own them, but I also have the Mara Jade comics, almost all of them. They're hard to find. But
I heard that the comics are actually really good, or the sort of the comic expansion. There's like stuff that's canon and that's non-canon, but a lot of the stuff that is in like book and comics form outside of the movies is actually really good.
The Emperor's Hand comics are freaking great. Like, I love them. The art is great. The writing is great. They're beautiful. Amazing.
Cool. Well, all right. There's also
even,
some of that.
The Thrawn trilogy. Sorry, it also has a thing where it like reverse power scales, because there's these like weird creatures that negate the Force. So like when they're around these like weird lizard things, they can't use the Force. And when Luke is around these creatures, he describes it as like being blind, because all of a sudden he has no access to the Force. So cool. his power in the Force is totally gone, and it was super interesting. I thought, maybe some people don't like it, but I thought that was super interesting. Like, what is with these weird lizards? Like, why do they make the Force totally gone? They're like a Force blind. And that's how he felt. He was just normal like everyone else. And he was just like, it feels like I'm blind. And so he had to just be like everyone else. It was cool.
Cool. What a travesty. No, that does sound cool. That we were talking on Creative Blocks about characters who are who have anti-magic abilities and how that could play into storytelling as well. So you're talking about something that isn't just well, a character has anti-magic, it's just something causes them to lose their powers, and that needs to be managed. So power nullification, like kryptonite. Yeah, exactly. Power nullification is another aspect that can be tied into. So you have consequences and then power nullification.
Kryptonite's worse than power nullification because it makes him sick or gay.
What? Oh, the worst.
It turns you gay.
Huh? I don't think that's what it does. Okay, I don't think that's what it does, but all right.
Down Goes Solo asked if any of our characters reverse power scale / lose abilities the more they use them, and that's actually how that's actually the consequence in Rotting Crown, my book, of just straight up using magic, is they lose another very important ability like sight, or one person, no matter what he does, he was a sailor, so now no matter what he drinks, it all becomes water, so he can never like get drunk again. I just thought that was funny.
Kevin Ryan. Oh, that reminds me. So speaking of cost for power, Chainsaw Man does this. So in Chainsaw Man, have you seen Chainsaw Man? Have you read it? The anime is actually pretty good. I like the anime. I mean, the manga is good too, but I felt like it was kind of like really straightforward storytelling. Once it's animated, it added a whole level to it. Like I thought the manga. Why would I say it so in like the most American accent ever? The mongers had a cool concept. I thought the storyline was good, but it was like very. If you read it, I think you'll get what I mean. It's kind of just like, oh, really straightforward. It's not very flashy. The anime is super flashy. Once you add in the acting, the voice acting, and the action, oh, it's so good. Like it's the concept, but with pizzazz. So, anyways, I would recommend watching it. But
I saw One Punch Man.
That's totally different.
That has no power scaling at all.
It has power scaling. It has nothing to do with Chainsaw Man, though.
Well, it has power scaling and then no power scaling ever again.
Yes, basically. It's about, well, I've seen like one episode of One Punch Man, so I shouldn't talk.
It was pretty good.
I hear it's good. It is really popular. So in Chainsaw Man, the demons, they're fighting demons, right? It's about like, oh, it's like a government agency that's fighting demons. And it's really cool because the power level of demons, they're like demons of there's like a gun demon, there's like demons of I don't know, kitchen sinks and stuff. There's demons of everything, but the power level of a demon is dependent on how much humans fear it. And the more people fear something, the more powerful that demon is. So the gun demon is massively powerful and is kind of like the holy grail of demon killers, and everybody wants to get to like the gun demon. So anyhow, but even though they're fighting the main character team, they're fighting demons, they have in their possession, they have captured certain demons that they collaborate with. So they contract with demons, and the price they pay is, well, the demons will want something from you. It's like, well, we're fighting demons, so we need the power of another demon, and so I contract with this demon that we have captured, but they might take an eye, or they might take years off of your life, or they might take like another, usually it's some kind of bodily sense or years off your life or something like that, or a limb. But there's this one really cool scene where they're in the middle of a really bad fight, and one character desperately wants to save her teammate who she's also in love with, so she just tells the demon she's contracted with, like, take all of me. And as she's watching, as the demon is fighting her, she just like starts losing one arm, then another arm, then her legs, and then she just like slowly starts shriveling and becomes just a torso and a head. And then when the person she's trying to save looks back after the fight's over, she's just like, it's just a pile of clothes. So costs for magic usage, essentially, that's what it is. And I think that's done pretty well in Chainsaw Man.
Wow.
Yeah, and that there's another character who has this magical, it's like a sword that's tied to a demon. Every time he uses it, it takes years off of his life. So it's not a movie, it's an anime series. Bancroft's in the chat. Hello, what's up? Thank you for joining. Hey, what is power scaling? Oh no, I have to explain it all again. So, how do I explain this in a concise manner?
TC explained it to him.
Okay, thank you, TC. Okay, because I'm not good at explaining things in quick and concise ways. Barb Rogers with Solar Terror gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Anybody who wants a membership, go grab that. I post behind the scenes stuff, behind the scenes. Wow, I can't talk today. Behind the scenes stuff for my comic and snapshots of my work as I'm working on Fiendish Chapter 3 in like the community tab on YouTube. So if you would like to see that, then you can become a member. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Okay, I have a ton of questions that are starred from way back when. What do you think of resetting a character or group to depower them in order to give a series more longevity? I instinctively don't like that idea.
I guess I instinctively also don't like that.
I instinctively don't like that, but I know Jake does a comedy, so it could work in comedy because comedy breaks all the rules. But my instinct is I would not do that because it would kind of be a fuck you to the audience investment, right? It's like, well, what did they actually learn? Like they went on this journey and they didn't earn anything in the end.
I don't know.
I have an exception. I have an exception. It's not in order to give a series more longevity, but at the end of FMA, spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Don't like mute for like 30 seconds if you don't want to hear this. Ed loses his alchemy powers and he gives it up to Truth. Truth is a character. It's like the god character in the series. He gives it up to save his brother because he realizes that what he has, sure, his ability to like cast alchemy symbols, whatever, his magical abilities are important, but what he has really earned during the course of the story are is the people, his companions, his friends, the moral journey he's been on. So he's willing to give up that power at the end of the story, and he goes on to live a happy life as a normal person. That's not in order to give the series more longevity. I worry that's different though. But I think you can take a character's power away and not make it feel like, well, the whole journey wasn't worth it. But you have to plan for that and make sure that, sure, the powers and the magic is flashy and that's fun, but the story is about the relationships and the moral development. And if that's what you focus on, then taking somebody's power away at the end doesn't feel like such a betrayal, because that's what I would worry about. Okay, go on.
That makes me think of like you'll not have seen this, but like Angel, which was the sequel to the Buffy the Vampire Slayer show. I know. But they would sometimes take away the main character's like vampire powers, and they would say like, oh, when he's in this dimension, his powers don't work. So now he has to fight as a human. And that was interesting sometimes. Or they would turn a vampire back into a human. So they're like, oh, now they're not a vampire anymore. So they're human. And it always felt stupid. I guess.
That is so bad.
I'm not watching or reading this thing about powerful beings just to watch or read a thing about these powerful beings not being powerful. And losing all of that sounds boring and stupid, unless it's a really short thing, like when you put kryptonite close to Superman and you're like, oh, what's he gonna do? Like, is he gonna be totally morally devastated? Like, how does he feel? But like, nobody removes Superman's superness forever. That would suck.
Right.
That would be boring.
Well, I don't
like that at all. And just to make it longer, like that would feel transparent. Like, I think people would notice. They'd be like, oh, this was almost gonna be a good show, and just to make it longer for this cash grab, like, unless it's a comedy thing, like you said, where it's like, okay, you can break the rules, you can make things ironic. Anything else, I just feel like it would not feel earned and people would be annoyed.
Yeah. Again, comedy breaks the rules. All of them, or has the ability to, but I think, all right, after giving this some more thought, I think what it boils down to is what is the story, is what's enticing about the story, the powers of your character. So for example, Superman is about
Hello? Are we live? Is Renie the only one who's frozen? Am I frozen too? Oh god. You see me? Renie's frozen though. Okay. I got scared. Renie, where are you? Well, I guess I'll say some stuff until she gets back. If we're talking about like resetting power also, I think a problem could come too where if it was successful the first time, I don't think it would be, but if it was, they'd probably try and do it again and again, and nobody likes overusing tropes. It's frustrating. It feels repetitive. It feels like I said a minute ago, manipulative. A reset, if you're gonna do it, should be tied to plot or character development, and not just for no reason. I think more often than not, it would be done poorly, so it would suck. Look into the chat. Renie's gone. I'm all alone. Kevin says, do not expose Superman to gold kryptonite. Shouldn't you not expose him to any kryptonite? Sounds bad. Sounds problematic.
I'm back.
Oh God!
I decided to die. Sorry. Wow. Okay. Where was I? I was talking about Superman, but we've moved on.
You were.
Have we? Okay. I'm back.
I just started.
Thanks, AT&T.
I just started to talk more about some resetting stuff, and then I was like, cool. I'm lost now. I'll go to the chat.
No. Thank you for holding it together. What was I talking about? Okay, I was making a point. Yeah, continuing as if nothing happened. So I think that basically getting rid of, let me pull it back up. Why did I get rid of it? Reset, whether or not you can take away a character's power and depower them depends on how much the story relies on it. Like, the whole point of Superman is it's about him managing godlike power and managing it with a restraint and doing good with it. And that's a lot of superhero stories. So that's why I don't think there's hardly any superhero story that could work with you just taking their powers away. Now they're a normal person. Not in the long term anyways. And also the reasoning behind doing so is important. I don't think giving a series more longevity is a good reason to do anything. I am strongly opposed to, you know how some manga gets dragged on and on because the editor just wants to make more, or the company just wants to make more money. So the editor tells like a artist, like Bleach, just makes the artist continue to drag the story on even though the artist doesn't want to. I think that has bad results always, and all decisions made in a story should be done for creative reasons, for storytelling reasons. It's what's best for what you're trying to say. So there you go. My conclusion.
Artificial lengthening is bad, says Simply Green. Yes, in every situation.
Yeah, I don't think that could work, but probably even in comedy. How does Casimir scale compared to Goku? I mean, badly. Casimir's a normal person. With some special abilities. Yeah, he's a normal person. I made a point. I wanted my story to be about normal people, or at least the main character was a very normal person. And sure, he might learn some extraordinary abilities later on, but it's like this is why people are doing some pitting someone's character against another indie comics character. And I'm like, I don't like, that's not what my story is about at this point. Later on, my characters will get stronger because, well, power scaling comes into play in Fiendish, and a part of the story is about the characters. I mean, I'll just say it. Many characters, including Casimir, learns casting. Like, he doesn't start out as a caster. He's just like a normal ranger. He's just a woodsman. But in order to combat the threat that the story presents, which is the demons, and when they eventually find out who's behind them, hint, hint, keep reading until chapter 4, he realizes he needs to improve his abilities and he needs to become something better. So he learns more, he improves his skills, and there are many characters like that. But yeah, it's not so much I think a lot of superhero stories start out with, well, a character at the beginning of the story, they have their power, they're at full power, and the rest of the story is about them managing that power and managing all the different threats that come towards them, which works, but that's not really what I personally like to write. What are some interesting ways to link power scaling to plot development and our character development? I think we've answered that mostly. There's you can it can create motivation for your character. Good power scaling can create consequences for your character using their powers incorrectly or going too far, and it can create motivation for them to improve their abilities and make the stakes, create stakes for the story. So you know this person is established because my power scaling is very clear. I know where everybody's ability levels are at. So now we know my character has to fight this foe, and if I've made their ability levels clear, the reader will understand what a big threat this foe is, and they'll be afraid for my main characters. So that's how power scaling can help enhance your plot and your plot development.
Yeah, I think we have pretty much answered that. It would it would be a good way to trigger like shifts in relationships with other characters as well. Because you know, there's obviously stuff like jealousy could be a motivation for like hating someone based on their power. Like, oh, they've gotten stronger than me. You know, unequal scaling, I guess. That would create jealousy. It could create isolation. It would create friction between characters, possibly. So it would put more like layers of drama and depth. I forget where I was going with that. But just like you were saying, it's a good tool for storytelling. Just like the way that physical strength would be. I think it would also make the stakes larger. If you're talking about like Dune, the power scaling in the novels is stupid. Like you don't really see it in the movies, but like unless I guess unless you understand really how the spice works, but like the power scaling in the books is so stupid because it's like you can just bend like all of time or something. I don't really like Dune, but all of
I'm shocked.
I know all of the stuff that like Paul does and how powerful he gets. It's ridiculous, but also it impacts the political and ecological struggles of like the entire star system or whatever. And then he like eventually just becomes a fucking worm. I'm not a huge fan of Dune, but it does introduce like challenges and mostly not solutions, so it would make it interesting.
I like Dune, but I think it's also because I went into it understanding that Paul is essentially supposed to be a really overpowered not hero. The whole story, the point of the story is a cautionary tale against charismatic, powerful leaders and also kind of bureaucracy trying to manage human development, what the Bene Gesserit do to try to create the Kisa Haderach and everything. It's like they try to create a chosen one, but it completely backfires. And like going in with that understanding, I don't mind that the power scaling is so ridiculous because you're right that that spice is just magic for everything. It can do anything. It can well, it doesn't bend space-time, but it doesn't fold space, but it allows, well, I guess there's a way of using it to fold space. and that's not, they don't explain how, but it can do that, and it can create, it can
they just get
increase
real
longevity,
high and
increase mental, it can increase mental abilities to the point where you remember the memories of all your ancestors down a certain line. And sure, it's like this all-powerful magic, but because I went into an understanding what the point of the story was, I didn't mind that. But I understand if it's like a problem for somebody else, because it is just bam, everything. This is completely all powerful, and there isn't really a, well, we can slowly advance. That's just not what the story is about.
No.
You
know
not
how
at
I
all.
feel about Dune already.
I do. Ali hates Dune. It's fine. You're allowed to disagree and be wrong.
There's also there's different kinds of power too. Mostly what we have talked about is physical and magical power, but power, there's other power too. Like obviously Paul has political power, and then magic, spice power or whatever. But like there's others too where for example, like Victor Frankenstein, he has the scientific power to like create life, but because of that it creates insane moral dilemmas and not mass chaos, but like massive amounts of chaos. So there's super emotional tension and moral tension. I think if you have something like that, it's probably more interesting to me. But you're balancing growth with conflict. So I would think if you're going to do this power scaling thing and you're going to do it right, then that is what is going to fuel and drive everything in your world, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
There, yeah. I came up with an example from literature that's not Dune or manga.
You did, yay! I mean, I would expect you'd be able to. People,
I'm gonna do more. I promise. I'm thinking. My brain is.
You can do it. I believe in you. Kevin Ryan says spice is both a floor wax and a dessert topping. Dessert topping? I think that's a that's a funny slip. Yeah, it can do anything. So
because it's
sure
Arrakis, kind of desert planet.
Okay, but like to me, that's, I haven't watched much of One Punch Man, but I know what it's about, and so I should use Mob Psycho because I have watched Mob Psycho, and the creator of One Punch Man and Mob Psycho, tends to write stories that are, well, the characters already has almost infinite power, but the challenge is something else. So with Mob Psycho, Mob has almost infinite power. I'll come back to the comments and the questions. Mob is already very powerful, but he's struggling with, well, I want to be more popular. I want to be better at socialization. And that's the character's struggle. It's completely different than I just want to become stronger. Like, he's already strong. And from my understanding, One Punch Man is similar. So that, in that sense, I think power scaling doesn't play into the power. Okay. The power scaling in that case isn't actually their superpowers. It's something else. It's their social struggles. It's a social ability power scaling, right? How do they level up on, for Mob Psycho, it's about accepting himself. That's the message at the end of the story. And his confidence. And I like that it's almost a subversion on what the story is actually about. You think it's about powers because it's shonen, but it's actually not, even though there's tons of battle scenes. So yeah, I think Dune is similar, where sure, the powers, there's magical powers there essentially in the form of spice, but the story is actually about something else.
True.
Okay, going back to the questions. Let's see. Oh my gosh, so I've started so much. Oh boy. Have you ever designed limited uses into your powered characters to force decision points? Going out on Dan for collecting and using Dragon Balls. Limited use of your powered characters. Well, there's at least for me, I made it clear that, so this is the softest part about my magic system, which is shamans cast runes using their aura energy, right? And it's ambiguous how much aura energy they have left, but I kind of determined that just by, well, does it feel right? Like, I know this person is more powerful, and there's certain, like, there's like drugs and things shamans smoke to increase their, it's essentially their life energy so they can cast more, and it's something they focus on training, and it's powerful shamans just naturally have very strong auras, which is why most shamans are just like absolute characters, because they have a strong aura, they have a strong presence. That's essentially what it is. But the limited use is that's the fuel for their rune casting, and the uses of their abilities are limited to that. But beyond that, I haven't thought. No, beyond that, I haven't thought of too much more that I can reveal, because there's other types of magic and fiendish, but I can't talk about it yet. What about you, Ali?
Limited uses. Sort of. In a it's fucked up as usual, but so
of course,
in a way, I guess. So I haven't really talked about this on here, but there's one other wizard other than Rimmed of the Year in my story, and he appears very shortly, and his name is Recletion. And way back in the Evil Queen's like childhood, well, not childhood, youth days, she meets him and he gets her pregnant. She does not shut up, TC. She does not want children, and so she threatens basically to have a cleansing, which is what it sounds like. Well, because Recletion knows that this is bad, what he does is he puts her to sleep for 2 years.
Oh my.
So
okay, that okay.
So
this goes from one bad thing to another.
So she's forced to have the baby, and then he can have the baby eat and be weaned, and then wake her up when it's all, when the 2 years have passed, by just leaving her in the field. So in her mind, her world goes from, she says, I don't want this baby, get rid of it, and he just goes, and then the next thing she knows, she's in a field, and she's like, that was weird. Like, I guess he just like kicked me out. And then she goes and sees that she's not pregnant anymore. So she's like, cool. I guess he just broke up with me after getting rid of the baby. She has no clue.
Oh my God. That's so fucked up. It was like, wait, why do I? Oh, well, I guess you wouldn't know if you've given birth 2 years ago. If you didn't experience. That is cool. Great.
So yes,
Ali's mind is amazing.
Limits it. Ali. Well, eventually what happens is that becomes a force in her trying to obtain magic, even though she does not have the natural ability. I've said before, magic in my world is mostly racial. There's one race that has the ability to do magic, and we're not totally sure yet whether or not the other ones actually can. Maybe, could be, maybe not. I guess you'll have to read it. But she decides to basically like pervert the entire system of magic by inventing what is basically necrophilia, and that's where she gets one of the babies.
Buy Ali's books, everybody. Sanguis Libris. Is it net or com?
She's the bad guy. .net.
Okay. Buy Ali's books,
Eventually,
everybody. You really should buy them.
Eventually, she has another baby that she doesn't want, and she's forced to give birth while she's tied on a pyre. So
cool.
TC's like, wait, what?
Cool.
You guys, I just told you, it's fucked up, okay? But she's
at
the
least
bad
she's aware.
guy.
She's aware that it's fucked up.
She's the bad guy.
Well,
I said necrophilia. I meant necromancy. I'm an idiot.
I was like, I think I know this part of the story. Where does that come into play?
It doesn't.
I'm glad you clarified.
You, I am horrible. I meant necromancy.
All right. Whoops. I don't think that really answered the question. It's limited uses into your. Well, it's about limited uses into your powered characters.
That was a limit. Like she.
Oh. She could only do that once? He could only put her to sleep for 2 years once, or what?
No, like his limitation. She invented necrophilia. I guess sort of since her creature is undead and stuff. But anyway, no.
Oh no.
The closest thing I could think of was him saying that he would not use his powers to do that. Like he's imposing a limitation on himself because he knows it would be wrong. So like he could just like erase the baby, but he refuses to. So he puts a limit on her. ALI's stories are restricted in certain countries. Is it necromancy just as bad? No. I feel like necrophilia is worse.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tend to agree. I mean, it's both pretty fucked up, but
that was the closest I could think of at the top of my head. Is there was a self-imposed limitation because he thought it would be wrong. So
ALI's stories are restricted in certain countries. Probably. Oh, I forgot to thank Barb Rogers for another membership. Thank you so much. Barb Rogers, Miss Soul of Terror. I appreciate it. And thank you for being a mod as well. Okay, let's see.
I'm just gonna go jump off a cliff.
What? No! YouTube, that was in Minecraft. That's a joke. Don't give me trouble. Jokes. We're joking. What do you think of Dago Solo asks, what do you think of making a once powerful character a burden on the others for the rest of the story? I think it depends on the character. Everything boils down to what you're trying to do with the character, and if you planned for this from the start. So like what point are you trying to make by doing that?
Someone who the other characters were relying on because they were very powerful, but now that they're not powerful, they're just a burden.
It could, or it depends on how it's done. It's more nuanced than that, because what is the character's role in the story? They could be powerful, but they were arrogant, and once they're depowered, maybe they still have to travel with the rest of the party, but they're now humbled, so they're physically a burden, but their humility and their new moral outlook helps the group in certain ways. That would be a cool way of doing it, where they could still actively develop the story and there's a point to them being depowered. That's what's important.
The chat is really mad at my books. I think my ALI's books are well hidden in the restricted section of the library, and Professor Slughorn gets very nervous when they're brought up by evil students.
I get nervous when she brings up her books on my streams.
Sorry.
But it's okay. They're very good. Everyone should check them out.
Could be. It's well written, you guys. It's not gross, just like
Ali is a good writer.
It's not gross for fun. Okay. It's all purposeful. written well, I promise.
That's what's important, though. Yeah, the question is never, well, should I do this fucked up thing or should I take away someone's powers?
Well.
It's yeah, exactly. It's about no matter what you want to do no matter what you want to do in your story, whether you want to take away someone's characters, you want to do something really messed up, it's about the reasoning behind it. Like if it serves the storytelling and it develops the character and it's in line with everything else you've built up until that point, then it'll work. So I think the question is never, well, should I go this far? Should I do this or that? Should I break this or that rule? Well, what are the reasons? If the reason serves a story, then it'll work. Try it.
Sorry. Yeah, and no, you're fine. About making a character a burden. So one of my characters, the more she uses her power, the she begins to lose her sight. So she would be becoming a burden on the rest of the party, just based on the fact that like that now they have to help her, you know, find her way, deal with that. So that could be a burden. Like she could still use her powers, but they'd have to like point her to where to go. So
yeah.
The more she uses it, the less she can see. And that's how magic works in all of mine. So it's not just like the silly one with the with the drunk sailor who can no longer drink. They lose things like humanity or taste or just random pieces of themselves. So it also gives an incentive to not use their power. Because it's like, well, if my choice is, you know, use my power or see, maybe I want to see.
Right. That's pretty important. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, I like stuff like that. It's similar to, of course it's not the same, but it's similar to what Chainsaw Man did. Yeah, consequences. So that was Dango Solo's question. A TC has a theory about who's behind the demons. Ooh, I do wonder what people have guessed. Some people have guessed. I mean, it's already in the books. I've already kind of hinted at it. So it's not hard. It's more about the reasonings behind why the demons are there. It's now that I look back and think about like my story structure for Fiendish, sometimes I wonder, did I kind of bury the lead a little much? Because especially with book one, I wanted to start out slow and it's like, oh, I want to ease people into the storytelling, but now I'm thinking I went way too slow because I have so much world building and there's a whole reasoning and a whole there's like the antagonist isn't just the demons, it's an actual person, and I'm not gonna introduce them even until several books in. That's a stupid idea. Don't be me. But anyways, thank you all for your
No. Having read all that I have read of Fiendish, I don't. This is gonna sound bad, but I don't think you're going slow enough. But
okay. Well, that's good to hear because I've been worried about the opposite. So
no,
hopefully I found like a good balance.
I usually think comics go too fast anyway. But like it moves right along very well. But I personally would like it to go slower, but I guess that would also mean you're doing twice as much work.
That's true. So. I sped it up because I just don't want to draw that many pages. I'm like, the less pages I can draw, the more I can cram into every page, the better. But I have also realized sort of like there's value to slowing down the story for moments of character interaction and for things that aren't just plot. It's not fun to read something that's just plot and nothing, no pizzazz, no endearing character development. So I'm trying to strike a balance. But yeah.
You do a very good job. I'm just ridiculous.
What?
I'm just ridiculous. Don't listen to me.
Why are you ridiculous? Okay, Ali's the real writer here, okay? I'm the comic artist who's pretending to be a writer, so don't listen to Ali. She knows
you compensate for it super well. You do a really good job.
I'm good at compensating, guys.
Well, there are a lot of people who think they can write, they cannot write. but they like cry anyway. You've done a super good job at setting it up to be a foolproof system. Having seen your charts upon charts and etc., that's the way to do it. Like, if you're an artist and you have an idea and you don't have to hire a writer like me, then you're gonna have to do what Renie did and like learn about how to do story and stuff, and then be insanely well organized like Renie, and not someone like me who can just do this and it's all in there and it's fine.
Ali has her story notes scattered in just like a pile in the corner.
I do.
She has a crazy person's bulletin board. I don't know how you sort everything out and make a coherent story, but you do somehow manage. Yeah, but here's the thing, though.
It's just in there. I don't even really need to write stuff down. The things I do write stuff down is just like, okay, I have to remember this, otherwise it'll be dumb. But it's all in there.
Yeah.
And I wanted a map so I could map out where they were going.
I think as you write more, you get better at sorting through that information. And if you, I find that if you remember the core direction of your story and you just remember the structure, then that's the most important part. And the details can come to you as you go. But the thing is, writing isn't easy. People seem to think that writing is easy because, well, anybody can put words on paper. Putting words on paper doesn't make you a writer. And I think especially a lot of artists, unfortunately, and I do understand why, right? It's easy to think that, well, writing isn't that hard. And if you have a story idea, that means you can write. But it's a whole discipline that needs to be studied and worked on. Like, and the thing is, think about how much time most artists spend honing their craft. It's a lifetime of work, and writing is the same. So there's someone can be good at both writing and art, but it takes work. You have to like split away some time and maybe start out not too complicated, and be aware that, especially if you're doing something long form, which I wouldn't recommend, even though that's what I'm doing, be aware that, well, you have a lot ahead of you, and if you make mistakes early on, that'll compound late as you go. That'll just get worse and worse. So you have to have a very solid foundation before you put anything out.
You've done a very good job at making sure your whole story is mapped out very well and everything comes to fruition. So
I'm glad. I was very aware that I wasn't an excellent writer. I just had an idea that I thought was cool, so I wanted to put the work in. So yeah, that means a lot coming from a real writer. Thank you.
I tell almost no one that they're good at that. So
that's true. She doesn't compliment people a lot, so I feel very honored right now.
I did so much beta reading of really bad indie novels that like I find it so difficult now. So when I do see something that's good, I'm just like, oh, what a relief.
Yeah,
it's not over.
True. But the thing is, like, it's something that can be improved on. So if you're not good at writing yet, that doesn't mean, oh, I'll just never be good. Like, it's so frustrating when I see, and I understand drawing is hard, but people who, they have talent, but because learning to draw well is hard, they just give up halfway through. And it's like, no, if you just keep at it, you'd be really good. And it's something that you can learn. So just because it doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Just work at it.
Exactly. You're just gonna have to work a little harder.
Yes, exactly. Put in that 10,000 hours or whatever they say. Is that how much time it takes to get good at something? I guess 10,000 hours. I don't know if that's true, but sure. Down Goes Solo asks, what about power deviating? Could a user misinterpret magic and end up warping the magic on whatever it's cast on? Well, that's basically what happens at the beginning of FMA. And I have something similar in Fiendish. That plot point I was talking about, where this character was performing experimental rune casting and kind of ended up, well, getting themselves killed. It was like they misinterpreted what they were doing because it was a domain of rune casting that was very poorly understood, and they made a mistake basically because they had no idea what they're doing. And in I'll go back to talking about Pathfinder. So, well, this is not really like power deviating, but in Pathfinder, in tabletops, well, I don't know about all tabletops, but in Pathfinder, when you cast magic, it depends if you're like a caster class, and then you just know your spells. There's no like chance of failure if you cast something. The only chance of failure is if you're casting in battle and you have to make a concentration check because people are shooting at you while you're trying to cast a spell. But if you're using a wand and you're not a caster who has the wand that's on that spell, or you're trying to use a magic device, so on and so forth, there's a mischance, or there's a failure chance. So you have to roll for a failure chance, and you can have a magical mishap that's just a wild chance of like you basically nat 1 casting this thing and anything could happen. You could we've in our party we've gotten sent to alternate dimensions before. We've gotten thrown up like 300 feet into the sky. We've had one character make an exact duplicate of themselves through a magical mishap, which is actually kind of fun and useful. But having the probability that mistakes can happen with magic, I think is really interesting. And I have to say that's something that's not exactly what I'm doing in Fiendish. It's more people misinterpreting and making a mistake with the runes. But well, I guess it is similar to that, isn't it? It's not like just, oh, it's random. It's more if you just write the equation wrong. But I think that having that in your story is interesting. And that is also a consequence of your magic system and of your power scaling, and that makes it more believable. That's something to manage, right? Part of getting better is failing less and making mistakes less.
There's actually a good amount of that in the Rotten Crown, because since magic has been outlawed for 1,000 years, not a lot is known about it, and there's no one to teach you how to use it. So the people who randomly, basically sneeze it one day, have absolutely no idea what they're doing. So mostly everything is guesswork and seeing how they can how they can even call up this magic. Like, what do they even do so that it's not accidental? So there's a lot of, I tried to put humor in there. I know when I talk about it, it all sounds quite dark, but there's some humor in there as well. But I have bad guys, and they do bad stuff. But then there are, my regular characters, and 7 of them in particular are the main ones that are finding and developing this magic, and they will mess up, and they do, and it has disastrous consequences, but also sometimes funny ones. And it means sometimes they'll find things out that maybe they didn't want to know about themselves.
Oh my. Yeah, I guess that kind of can happen in Fiendish, where you don't really know what domains somebody can cast. You kind of have to discover it as you go, and sometimes it's a bit of a surprise. Adango Sella says, have a dyslexic rune caster. It sounds like fun. They mean we'll always fuck up a bit. I think that's gonna be Casimir. Yeah.
There's
Violent Comics says, oh, go ahead.
In the no, not Rune World. That's not the thing. Discworld. In the Discworld novels, there is a wizard character, and he's really bad at it. So everything he does is like, it messes something up. He's just not a very good wizard. He's like known as the worst wizard. So every spell he does, everything is just wrong and bad and results in hilarity. Rincewind, yes.
No, that's great.
Discworld is great.
That's awesome. Oh, someone that's just really bad. I mean, that's absolutely terrible, though. It's like, well, you're handling something very dangerous. It's like somebody who insists on driving under the influence. That's pretty terrible. But, well, it would be funny if someone is...
He almost never does magic because he knows how bad he is at it. And so when he does have to do it, he's also annoyed about it. He's just like,
that's
heavy
funny.
sigh, like, I have to do this now. I don't want to. And, like, he's just constantly grumpy. Rincewind is a great...
That does sound like fun. I think the reaction around that scenario. Or it could be a character is actually really powerful, but there's like a huge mischance with them. So they don't cast a lot, but sometimes they just have to. And either you succeed really, really well, or you completely fail very badly and bad things happen. That would be fun to play with. I want to do that now. Huh. Ideas. People are saying stop bullying Casimir. No, I want to bully my main character.
And SP is right. Rincewind saves the world through cowardice.
That sounds like what series is this? Discworld?
Yep.
I need to read that. I keep hearing about
it. I think most of them. They're so it's comedy fantasy. Like just 100% comedy fantasy. It's so funny.
I do have to read that then. That sounds like fun. Joseph Fazio has a couple of super chats. Sorry I didn't get through those right away. Thank you for bless you, or if that was a sneeze. Bless you anyways. For $5, thank you very much for the super chat. Here's a question. Manscaped 5.0. Is there any better way to spend time with the kids during the holidays? I don't know what Manscaped 5.0 is.
Is manscaping like... Is he talking about like shaving down there?
I thought that's what it is, but it could be something else because there's a number 5.0.
Because I feel like almost anything is a better way to spend time with kids during the holidays.
Yeah, if it's that, I don't think that's an activity to do with that's like a family activity.
Thanks for the $4.99, Joseph.
Yeah, thanks for $4.99. For another $4.99. Thank you, Joseph. Weapon. One day you will... Joseph keeps calling me Weapon. I guess that's a good thing. I like that name. It sounds cool. Sorry, I had to cough. One day you will realize there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. Wow. Very wise.
Confucius say.
Confucius say, yes. A little confused, but thank you for the $4.99.
Thank you for the confusing money.
Oh man, my throat is suddenly killing me.
Your mic is cool. You like abuse it, and it makes you shut up. Don't do that.
Yeah. No. Oh fuck. Okay, nobody clip that. Or forget how the internet works sometimes. Maybe
that's why you're awesome, Renie.
Could be worse. Okay. Downgo Sola says, maybe a powerful caster with a tragic background that drinks too much and constantly fucks up spells. Maybe.
And now I sound ridiculous because I can't make mine shut up when I cough.
Oh. Well, you can mute if you want to, but it's okay.
Did Renie...
At least you're not having a sudden coughing fit like me, which I don't know why I'm suddenly getting. I apologize.
Do you need water?
Hmm?
Do you need water?
Probably. Rachel says, Renie, will Casimir grow a beard and get glasses? Why? Is that a certain trope? I do think I'll give him more of a beard, but there's a...
Is that so he'll look like Jake?
What? Is that the joke?
I think
he looks nothing like Jake. Just because they're both blonde. Oh, it's a white guy with long hair. It looks like this other white guy with long hair.
He should now. He has to now.
Yeah, he has to now because glasses definitely exist in this pre-industrial agrarian world that Fiendish takes place in. He might grow a beard though. Part of the joke I haven't found a place to put it in yet, but I think like he has a little. Oh god, he has a little goatee because he actually can't grow a full beard, and it's like part of the joke. I don't know. I feel like I don't bully my main character enough, but it's like I feel like it's fun. I don't want the story to be like, it's a very serious story, right? It's like, well, my character is his family killed by demons and all that stuff, and they're demon hunting, and it's like there's a whole very heavy mystery behind everything. But I don't know, I think part of the levity that I want to insert in the story comes from joking about the characters and their quirks and stuff. So I like doing those things. That's why I bully my characters.
You're not a bully in real life, so you bully your characters.
Yeah, that's true. I am not a bully in real life. I'm too nice.
What would you call what I do to my characters?
Torture. Bullying, torturing. We each have our own paths. Thank you for the link, Moromi. Everybody, if you are new and you don't know about my comic, you can go to fiendishcomic.com. You can read a preview there and also order the books if it looks good to you. I have a store there. Everything is right there. It's an awesome website.
Sign up for updates on the future books.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, sign up for the updates. It's right on the front page. There's an email sign up right there. Reading is a weapon. Oh, I do like that. I like that moniker. That sounds cool.
Do you see what Ellie does to her characters or international war?
Let's see, did I miss any more? Got it.
And that's not even it. Like, you guys don't even know.
Violent Comics says, I missed it. What's power scaling? Well, you could also watch the beginning of the show, but I will try to explain it in a concise way, which I will fail at, be warned. Power scaling is the...
I could try. So okay, you don't have to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now that we've talked about it. So, and this is the first night I ever heard about it, so be nice.
I believe
power
in you.
Scaling, thank you, is how talents, capabilities, and limitations, we talked about that a lot, are formed and extended for characters or groups in your story. Yeah. So, like, it guarantees consistent development and corresponds to the story's like stakes and conflicts. So it doesn't make people infinitely stronger, but it can show development. Yeah? Good? She went away. Okay. Traits and flaws of a character. Not exactly. How powerful or less powerful that they are, and how it moves up and down throughout the story. She went away. Actually, Simply Green says DBZ popularized the term. DBZ. I don't like DBZ. I'm gonna say it right now. People have a problem with it, but I don't. I think it's for men. I think it's a masculine show.
Sorry, I thought that explanation would take way longer, but I was listening.
Did I do okay? Good. I was trying to not take a long time.
No, that makes complete sense. That's pretty much what I was gonna say. I think that was very concise. So I hope that, I hope that explained it. Basically managing the management of differing power levels in a story to enhance entertainment, storytelling, and verisimilitude. There you go. That's my word salad explanation.
We were talking about limitations and consequences and power scaling. I've not read the books, and I only saw a couple of the episodes, but I know in the Wheel of Time, their power scaling, or I guess Robert Jordan's power scaling, has it where men go crazy if they use magic or whatever it's called. So as they get stronger, like, they get crazier, that is a that is a way to do power scaling.
Yeah, it's it's interesting. I think I wonder why so many stories have that. And they always do it with men, but I think it's because in our current times, it's socially unacceptable to do it with like, oh, women can't learn magic or whatever. Except apparently, Demon Slayer kind of does it. I haven't. I watched like one episode of Demon Slayer, but I heard that in Demon Slayer they do this thing where the women's all the female characters' fighting styles and which is their magic in the world. They have like magical like moves and whatever are like really soft and butterfly themed, and they only can learn those types of fighting and that kind of magic, which is wild and would only be done in Japan because that would never be acceptable in the West, because in the West, like over and over again, like the Wheel of Time and Dune, it's always, well, it's the men who can't handle this special ability or enter this special order or learn magic because they die or they just go crazy. Like that's what's socially acceptable here. So I've definitely noticed that, and I think it's funny.
I feel like that's a consequence of modern feminism crap, probably.
Well, it is like it should be balanced. Like if you're gonna have stories that's one way, then you can have it the other way as well.
I watched all of Demon Slayer. I haven't read it, but I watched the whole thing. I didn't notice that when I was watching it, but I absolutely hate the female Demon Slayer. She's fucking annoying. Like every time she was on screen, right? Yeah, like her power was love or something gay like that. I was like, this is the worst character.
That is like, her lame. Hair is pink.
It's super lame. I was just, I don't know. A lot of people seem to like her. I just found her really annoying and obnoxious and stupid, and I couldn't stand every moment of her being on screen was like nails on a chalkboard. I hate her.
Well, there you go then. I guess that wasn't that well done. Kevin Ryan
almost as much as there's another guy who's only powerful when he's asleep. But when he's awake, he's like annoying as fuck, and he never.
Oh, the blonde guy. Yes, I hear about the blonde guy.
Yeah, the guy with the like French fry hair.
Yeah,
I cannot stand him when he's awake, and then when they finally have him pass out and start the like sleep fighting, I was like, oh, I actually really like him, but only when he's asleep, because he's cool and strong and he shuts the fuck up. Like, he's so annoying. He's just constantly blubbering and crying. I cannot believe it. I was like, I can't even imagine being that voice actor. I fucking hate that character.
I've heard of that character. Again, I have only watched that one episode of Demon Slayer. And I feel like I would hate him too. So if I have a pet peeve, which I don't think it's a pet peeve, I just think people who don't have it are weird. Specifically with male characters that scream all the time and are whiny, of course, but just like loud, screamy male characters, I cannot fucking stand it. Like there's that one ironic series. Yeah, but it's like, well, that's me. Like I can deal with myself being loud and whining, but when I have to,
I like when you're crazy. It's cute.
I don't mind. I know I'm loud, but like when it's a show I'm trying to watch and the character, especially when it's a male character, I'm sorry, and they're like really loud and screamy, it's so annoying, and I can't. It's like there have been shows. So in Dr. Stone,
so like
I really like Dr. Stone.
In
but
Dragon Ball,
I don't. This is why I haven't watched Dragon Ball. Like in Dr. Stone is great. I really love Dr. Stone. It's like Autism the show. But there are like two characters that are like, what's the muscle guy's name? Taiju? He just, every line he says is him yelling. And sure, it's a plot point that his voice is loud. But if you're loud, he also just like over exposits everything, and it just gets on my fucking nerves. And then he leaves the show for a while. And I'm like, oh my god, finally my ears have peace. And then they brought on another character that was just another loud, shouty guy. And it's Lord have mercy. I hate it so much. And I would probably hate French fry hair as well. Kevin Ryan, yes, I did, because Billy told me which characters he had the rights to for me to draw, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. But yes, I have a list somewhere in my email. Phil says, male living is just power scaling. I could see that being true. I think everyone should have should embrace should be striving for more, regardless of if you're a man or a woman. You should be honing some kind of skill or bettering yourself. I think that's good for you and it makes you happy. But that's just me.
Well, if we're talking so I was trying to think, and as we're talking about like things we don't like, and I think an example in classic literature of bad power scaling, and people are going to hate me for this, but I don't care because I think this book sucks. It's very boring. Is in Dracula by Bram Stoker. Not a fan.
Oh boy. Yeah, you've book. Told me.
But Dracula himself, his scale of strength is like erratic. He looks almost unbeatable sometimes, where he can just do whatever he wants. Like he shapeshifts into different animals, but he can also control animals and manipulate minds, and like then just the way to destroy him is so stupid. It's like, oh, you just throw holy water at him and garlic. And it's like, really? You know, he can turn into a pack of wolves and fly and become mist. But like, if you just toss some garlic at him, he's just utterly powerless. It's so stupid. And they're very modest weaknesses. The scale is unbalanced. I'm not a fan. It's also very boring. People think it's a masterpiece. I'm not a fan.
I will give you that. I was reading it for a while. I was enjoying it, and then I kind of lost interest. I didn't mind. I didn't think it was boring, but I was annoyed by how ambiguous his powers were. Like, I enjoy the whole period writing and really getting into it's the old-timey letter writing and stuff. I thought that was cool. I know you disagree. But it's like,
no,
what are his actual powers?
I love the old school style of writing, the Gothic Victorian stuff. Frankenstein is brilliantly written. Absolutely gorgeous. But Dracula is boring.
Okay. Well, you also dislike Dune, so I will read Frankenstein. I will.
Painful, but
well, I listened to the audiobook, so I guess it was less painful. I will read Frankenstein. I have to read the. I've only.
It's probably one of my favorite books.
Book. Cool.
Of all time. And it's even better if you realize that what it is actually about is about the author struggling with her guilt over being raised and living as a feminist.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know the history of that, but I remember you saying that. Violent Comics is strong and silent type.
No, ambiguous nature of powers is not good in horror. It just felt stupid. And Dracula is not a true horror based on a real person. He did not base it on the actual Dracula, because he does almost nothing of the same thing. He even said he just liked the name. So
I think that in ambiguous powers can be define ambiguous powers, because you as a writer could know the structure or limitations of a character's powers, but it's not explained in the story. But because you know the structure and it exists behind the scenes, when it's presented, the reader can intuit that what's presented makes sense, and you know the limitations of what this antagonist can do. And that applies to horror as well. And I do agree that in horror, it would work better for the exact parameters to not be explained, but intuitively it should work. I think in Dracula, intuitively the powers still don't make sense because it's just kind of, well, he can do like any magical thing and to fuck with people and
he
even influencing them
like,
from
wouldn't
far
this
away.
be creepy? And that would be creepy too. This would be creepy too. And the vampire myth is like immature anyway. And and it's about sensual power and sexual stuff, and it's like, yeah, that's all immature. It's immature.
I don't know about that.
Fucking sucks.
Cool. Violent comments is strong and silent time. I'm not saying that all. I mean, I don't want it to be what I'm saying to be interpreted as, well, male characters should be strong and silent. It's just specifically I'm very annoyed by like really whiny characters. I'm not even saying not do that. It's just a pet peeve of mine that I really don't like that. I'm like, this person is really immature and annoying. And somebody mentioned Black Clover. Yeah, that's why I haven't even read the manga. Like, even Eren in Attack on Titan got on my nerves from the start. Like, I had to force myself. Like, the quality of the animation, the sheer quality of the animation, the beauty of that show carried me through. The main character was fucking insufferable because he just was whiny and screaming at everything. I don't care if he became a badass. I'm like, he was fucking annoying. I hate it, but it's my personal pet peeve.
Joseph is saying, you think it takes skill to play Frankenstein? It's all makeup and grunting. Excuse me, if you actually read the books, the creature was very well spoken, and one of the best portrayals of the creature, Frankenstein's monster, was actually that one guy, freaking, he always plays a mobster. I can't remember his name now, but the creature was very well spoken, and the grunty thing is actually the worst Frankenstein's monster. So,
okay.
Playing the stupid monster is super. Yes, De Niro. Thank you. So yeah, it's very difficult, I think, to play a creature like that and do it well. Sure, it's easy to play the stupid one that's not real, but whatever.
Theseus is Eren to become a badass. He became an edgelord genocidal mania. I agree. I amend my previous statement. He just became he became crazy. Strong, but he became a nut job. Yes.
Yeah.
Not a fan of the character. Yeah. Yep. Honestly, it's Attack on Titan is good because of the world building and like the visuals.
They're saying it's from a movie. I apologize.
Cool. Someone asked me what name favorite masculine characters. First thing that came to mind is like, oh, Guts. Yeah, really going back on that, really disproving that, oh, I only like silent stoic types thing. But Berserk is really good, guys. It is really good. I also like I mean, most of the characters in Berserk are really good except for Casca. Judo was good. He wasn't the stoic type. He was a great character. And I like FMA.
I like Aragorn.
Aragorn, yeah.
Peak masculinity.
There is something about just stoicness is very admirable in masculine characters. That's just like, you don't have to be quiet. I don't think that characters should just not like male characters should just not express their emotions and boys shouldn't cry. Part of the story of Phoenix and part of Casimir's development is coming to terms with his emotions. He has a lot of pent up emotions and anger because he never properly grieved for his family dying. He kind of lost everybody and he just focused on, I have to become stronger so this never happens again. I don't ever want to be a victim again. But he never let himself grieve. And so he has a lot of pent up issues and he can't form healthy relationships because he never healed. And part of the first arc of Fiendish is him coming to terms with that and dealing with those emotions. So I'm not of the opinion that male characters just not have emotions, but part of there is still something admirable about a stoic character, which is not someone who doesn't have emotions, it's someone who manages their emotions well and is there for the people around them in the way that they need. You can handle things for everybody else around them. You can carry the burdens for the people around you, and that's admirable. Even in female characters, I think that's admirable, but it's just not done a lot.
Well, the thing that I think is when there's a good masculine character, not necessarily male, but masculine, is when they have power, but and it doesn't matter what kind of power, like political, physical, magical, whatever, and they choose very carefully when to use it. So it's not necessarily like, oh, they're quiet, and stoic, and they whisper or whatever, like they're off not off-putting, but they're unreachable. It's more when they are controlled, because controlled masculinity is it feels more masculine. When a person is out of control, that's when it feels feminine to me. So like when a male character is acting crazy, I'm automatically like, oh, they're hysterical, so they're less masculine now. So I too did not like Aaron because he was hysterical and then he went crazy. I would not consider him to be a masculine character. but Aragorn I would consider to be a very good example of masculinity, and I find him to be a very good masculine character. Someone like, if we're talking Lord of the Rings, I would consider Boromir to have feminine issues, but his resolution is masculine because he overcomes the emotion and redeems himself, as everyone knows. So that's where I like my actual masculine characters, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Odin Reactor says, I think Renie and Ali are saying men shouldn't be emotional. No. I think no character is going to be engaging or believable if you just write them as not being emotional. I think the key is they clearly have emotions, but you see that they're trying to control it for the sake of the people around them, for a greater goal. That's really admirable. Of course, people have emotions. Like, it's not healthy to pent those up, whether in real life or in storytelling. It's about it's like it's almost like this is emotions are like it's like wild magic. Think of that. It's it's something. It's a form of power as well. It's something that can um almost uncontrollable. It's chaotic, and someone who wants to control that and attempts to direct that energy towards for the sake of the greater good is a role model, is admirable. And characters like Aaron who don't do that, who just let it all out, are not admirable. And why are you the main character? You're just annoying. You're not trying to restrain yourself. You have no prudence.
I think that's maybe why you see less of him as time goes on and you see more of the other characters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, a character could be expressive as well, but it's more about, well, are they restrained in their actions? Like, that's
Right.
separate from how they express themselves. Do they smile or not? That has nothing to do with anything we're talking about.
Restraint is to me a mark of positive masculinity. It also is just a better way for men to move throughout the world, right? Because most of the time, even in writing, men are more powerful. In the real world, they're more powerful. And in literature and media, they're most of the time more powerful than the women. And there's a reason for that. It reflects reality. But when powerful men don't control themselves, that's when they're a villain. When powerful men use their power sparingly to control but they keep themselves restrained, but then they use that power to control these people who cannot control themselves or refuse to do so, that's when they're a hero. It's very simple.
Mm-hmm. And I do think...
And that's why female villains are... Sorry. I was just going to say, that's why female villains are so diabolical, but always beaten by a man.
I think that you touched on an important point of, well, this is why we're talking specifically about male characters. I mean, that was the comment, but also there's a reason it's more important for masculine characters to have restraint and to control themselves. It's because men in both the real world and usually in fantasy have more power, and that's just biology. So it's more important for men specifically to learn prudence and restraint, and that's why it's admirable. And I personally think women should do that as well. But it's just not because of just reality and biology. It's not as much of a requirement, and I think we instinctively understand that.
Well, and that's why men and women are good with each other, because, you know, we can, if we're freaking out, then our man can sort of level that out and be like, is there a reason you're freaking out? Is it logical? And it's like, maybe, maybe not. But like, just the way that women work, sometimes we just need 5 minutes to just cry, and then it's over and we feel better. That's how we emotionally regulate. I'm not saying that it's good to just be a sobbing wreck all the time, but sometimes when it gets to be too much, we just have to go and sit and we cry really fast, and then it's over, and now we're emotionally regulated. For men, it doesn't have to be that way. It's restraint, 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 and then some crazy physical activity, whether it's work or war or hunting or whatever, and that's how they emotionally regulate.
Yeah, we just work differently.
And that's fine.
I think it's very... it's fine. And I think people intuitively understand that, and I see a lot of media that tries to subvert that, but I think that's why a lot of newer media fails, is because they don't understand that. Well, of course it's not strict rules. Men have to act a certain way, women have to act a certain way, but like there's a general there's a spectrum. We're all on a spectrum, guys. And we it throws off the world building if you don't recognize that, well, there are evolutionary realities. There's just ways people function.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Odin reactor. Well, we are. Yeah.
Well, we're emotional to different things at different levels. So, like,
sure,
we're all gonna look at, you know, a puppy and be like, "Ah," you know, but a woman might cry because the puppy's so cute. But a man's not gonna cry because there's a cute
and the
puppy.
Thing is,
but
and that's the thing. That's not a bad thing. I hate when people say that's a bad thing.
No.
That's not to shame women. It's just how it is, and women have their own power in, if you want to put it that way, or what they bring to human interactions and the world, and it's okay that women are more emotional. It's just how we are. It's fine. See. Oh, Dango Solo is off for tonight. Thank you for joining. Happy that women are different. I don't know
why he asked if we called him retarded, but I don't think we did.
How did we call you retarded? What are you saying? What? No, we didn't. I know he's just joking.
I went up to see. He said, think it'd be difficult to write a character that has / shows few emotions. No, because it would actually be pretty simple. Because all you have to do is just pick, like, okay, when do they actually feel emotions? And then that actually makes it quite powerful. So, for example, the reason why it's not so much now, but it used to be powerful to see a man cry in a movie because they didn't cry a lot, but also they cried when someone died.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. Like, they cried when someone died, and, that's when you know it's serious. Like, so if a man is actually shedding tears, and it's not the same kind of tears women cry, when a man is shedding tears, you're like, oh, it's serious. Like, it's highly tense, it's very serious. So
I think part of it is also cultural. Not that there's a different level to which like men express their emotions, and it is in storytelling. I agree with all that. It's when a man is crying, it used to be it's serious, but in especially Asian media, there's this like this manga trope of like this masculine crying that's in a lot of manga. If you've read a lot of manga, you know what I mean. There's an element of cultural difference there where it's more acceptable for men to cry in Asia, but it's about what are they crying about? Are they just like feeling this some camaraderie so much, and they're like, I feel the weight of my vows, and if it's over something like that, it's acceptable culturally. But if it's just, oh, I'm having a moment and I can't handle the current difficulties, that's not acceptable. But it's acceptable if it's like, I really feel the burden and I'm accepting it, and I'm crying because I'm just so overwhelmed by like not overwhelmed, but I'm like so engaged in this responsibility or this relationship or something like that. That's in Asia, in parts of East Asia, that's acceptable. But either way, it's different levels, right? The cartoon of JoJo's Bizarre. JoJo is its own animal. It's totally different. Yeah, I do that in Fiender. So I've had even people on my team tell me like, Casimir is like just tough guy, not emotional enough. I'm like, I'm doing it for a reason. Like it depends.
I like him. That's part of why I like him, because he's not a blubbering mess. He's interesting because he has a lot of restraint, and it seems like he really hates it when other people don't.
Yeah, but also he clearly, he also clearly has, like I explained, he has his own issues to work through, but that will be dealt with. And it's not like, oh, he works through his emotional issues, he just becomes like a blubbering mess. No, he's still him. That's just that's something separate, right? He just has more healthy relationships. And I think what's interesting is writing Easkell was, I feel like I'm walking a fine line with him, and it helps that he's younger, but he is a more emotional guy. And he's very empathetic. He's like the empathy character. He's the heart of the story, and a part of it is because he can't help but feel empathy. Yeah, he's adorable, and I'm thinking about, well, as the story goes on, he'll get older, and he doesn't change that much, but I want him to feel empathetic and emotional, but he's still very masculine. Like, he's very strong. He's dangerous. He's Casimir's cousin. He can fight like hell. And so how do I balance that with his empathy and him being sort of the moral compass of the story and having empathy for everybody, and the fact that, well, he's still tough. Like, he's a masculine character, and I think that can be done. Those two things don't negate each other. Ancient Greek stories have men cry, and in Odysseus he cries because the gods have trapped him on an island to never go back to his family. Well, yeah, that is a dire situation where that would be warranted.
But it's also, again, it's not the same crying as when a woman cries.
It's not a, well, I can't handle a situation, or it's just I need a moment. It's different.
But it's not like usually it's like and like and it goes down. Like,
it's also, I think,
a death. It's usually, and that's why I think when men cry, it's more powerful. Like, it means more when a man cries, because
it's kind of a
blubbering messes.
It should be like a nuke on the story. You should save it for. That's what I want to do as well. Let's just specific characters. Like, if Casimir ever cries, I'm gonna save it for something important, right? It depends on who it is. Well, I think we've had a great discussion. Yeah, it was a good show.
The name changes. Mental health is important.
Mental health is important. That's exactly what we're talking about.
That's the moral of today's show. Mental health is important.
Yeah, exactly. Power scale. We talked about power scaling, and that warped into talking about mental health. That's exactly what happened. But no, I think that was a great discussion and a nice little segment at the end as well, about subjects that I think people are a little afraid to talk about, but you shouldn't be, because these things are important and it's just how people work. So don't be afraid of talking about it. Oh my God. Only in the West will people be afraid of talking about these subjects. Make Cosmere watch The Grave of the Fireflies. That'll make him a man. He already is a man. He doesn't need that. What? Confused.
We power scaled mental health. There we go.
There we go. Yes. I'll change the title to that. I'm just kidding. I won't. I just stopped playing Dark Souls 3. Somebody mentions Dark Souls 3. I want to fire up Hades. Oh yeah. Jake's been telling me I should play. Well, I have an idea to either play Dark Souls or Elden Ring, though it'll probably be Dark Souls or whatever. What's the one that's the is it Bloodborne? That's the one that's set in like Victorian England. I like the aesthetics a lot. So anyways, it's either gonna be Dark Souls or Bloodborne. There you go. That's the name. So what we're gonna do is do gaming recordings, and I will suck, but it'll be very entertaining for all of you because I don't play games, but I just like the aesthetics. So yeah, that might be coming sometime soon.
I did that once, and then they just called me a fake gamer girl, and I was like, I told you guys I wasn't a gamer, though.
No, it will be plastered. It will be in the title. It will be fake gamer girl plays Bloodborne. Like, I make no secret of the fact that I don't play video games. I will suck, but I will suck so bad you'll laugh at me. It'll be great. And everyone will mock me.
Yeah, I tried some Lord of the Rings game. I was trying to play it, and I did so bad, and everyone was just like, "You're fake," and I was like, "I told you I would suck at it. I was given this game, and I'm trying it. Shut up."
No, you have to like make it blatant, put it in the title. Just watch me suck at playing this game.
I did Oregon Trail, and everyone got to view just how bad I am at even that. So have fun.
Oh no. Joy, oh joy. I think I've only played like 3 games all the way through. Renie is becoming a Twitch. What? I never said anything about thoughterry. Excuse-moi, sir. Never.
Renie's not allowed to be a thought.
This will never happen. No.
Yeah. She knows that I would.
I'm talking about
delete her.
Well, yeah. Well, damn. Ali will wipe my internet presence and come angrily yell at me. No, I don't want to. I respect my father. So no thoughterry. I'm just gonna play video games.
She has her father in her life.
I do. Yeah, I don't have daddy issues. I can only be a lady.
And she never said anything about Twitch either.
I know. I don't think it'll even be on Twitch. I think we'll do it on YouTube. It'll just be, yeah, no
somebody
Twitch.
Said something, and now I lost it. Darn it.
Gonna look for it. I will pull up our websites and show everybody our work. Yay!
Oh, some person asked about Egg Beater.
Perfect timing.
Egg Beater will have a Fund My Comic soon. My artist currently has working on pages 16 through 22, and it's going super duper well. It looks funny. Very soon, I'm going to do some streams where, let me reach and show you quick. These
quick, hurry, quick,
are the wooden spoons that people ordered that will be wood burned with the cross pins. And I will do that on a stream. And this box isn't open, but this has the coasters that I will also wood burn that people ordered. So that is how Egg Beater is doing. I have all the hats. I have all the aprons. I have all the prints. I have to get the new bookmarks made with the new artist. So yeah, stay tuned for all that.
Cool.
When it comes to Egg Beater.
All right. When it comes to Egg Beater, and I will pull up your website to continue. So you can continue telling everybody all about your work. There you go. sanguislibres.net. If everyone wants to head over here, Ali's work can be found on the website. There you go. And here is Wildman. That's the book that she's been talking about.
Oh,
yeah.
Wildman, currently, I'm having a printing issue. I had to send back the file. I had to reformat the whole thing and send back the file because they didn't like it. So currently you can't order Wildman, but as soon as you can, I'm going to send out an email to the mailing list. The link to my mailing list is on my Twitter, which is just at Ali Sanguis. Currently, probably the coolest thing you can do on my website is you can check out the Rotting Crown stuff that has all the information on characters. It has free previews that you can read and artwork and stuff. So that's probably the coolest thing that you can do on there right now. So I have other books as well that I'm working on, but the main stuff is Rotting Crown, Egg Beater, and the kids' book, Haunting of Bonneville Manor. Right now, if people want, I do actually have a whole bunch of copies of my drawing, my kids' drawing prompt book available. That one is called Imagination Canvas, and it has like a bunch of poems, and the kids can follow the poems and draw the poem stuff on the paper. So
nice.
I have a whole bunch of those. You can still get them through my Etsy link, which you just click on shop and it'll take you there. So
awesome. And you can go at this website that some person has posted. Thank you very, very much. It's sanguislibres.net. And you've got all your links there. Try not to make that
too long-winded.
Nope,
like how you clicked on my my Native American vampires book after I just like talked a bunch of shit on vampires.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to find the Rotting Crown, and I did miss that there's one whole giant tab right here.
Yeah, it has its own thing because it has its own thing because there's so much world building.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. There you go. Oh yeah, look at that. Yes, world building. So perfect.
Yeah,
I made a mistake. This is the book.
I pseudo copied your style on your website.
I've had a few people copy my website layout for Fiendish. I mean, it's fine. I don't mind, but it's
Renie's website is a million times
I'm okay with
mine. It's great.
No, your website turned out great. I'm happy to serve as a template. I'm very proud of my website. Speaking of here is my comic website for Fiendish, my fantasy mystery comic series. Look at this beauty. I'm very proud of it. I just updated it as well. If you have noticed, I changed the header color. I think this looks great. I don't know why I haven't done it before. I think because previously when I started out, the first Fiendish website was just on Adobe Portfolio. So I had just a very simple like portfolio website with just a white background, and it just had mostly images. But I mean, now I built this website. I have so much stuff on here, which includes an email sign up. Here is the email sign up for chapter 3 of Fiendish. I will try to have a separate page for that soon, and maybe a whole sign up on Indiegogo. But for now, it's just this red bar on the website. Sign up here to stay up to date with any new releases and on any news regarding Fiendish. But yeah, I have so much functionality on the website. You can read the comic right here, and you can either read it on the website, you can buy the physical book, or you can read it on Global Comics, which is a digital platform. I have a shop, I have a blog, and I have like website passes as well, which I don't talk about enough. It's essentially service like Patreon that's built into my website, you can get passes to read exclusive blog posts. So here you go. I've been posting my behind the scenes work for Fiendish 3, and you see like this post is only for pass holders, so that's behind a paywall, but the paywall is like you can pay whatever you want, like $1. I have like several tiers, $1, $5, $10, it's whatever you want. I appreciate any support. So those, if you want to get an early look at my work on the next book, then you can support that, or also become a YouTube member. It's up to you. And if not, I have like public updates on the blog as well. So lots of functionality, lots of stuff here. Check out the shop too. All my books are available right here if it'll go to the shop. Dun dun dun. There you go. I have so much merch. I'm so proud of this website. Oh, I worked so hard on it, and it all paid off. It's so beautiful. Look at all this merch. Oh,
I appreciate your website. After trying to make mine, I'm just like, wow, she has a lot of patience and hard work, because making a website, even if you have like templates and stuff, it's still so tedious and insane.
So your I mean, I guess I have spent a lot of time building websites, not like coding, but I've just fucked around with like Blogspot and Adobe Portfolio for years. So
I mean, it's a treat to navigate. So
oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear. I want to make it easy to navigate. And by the way, what this website is it's an extension of the comic. You can find out more about the world. I have a world map, I have character profiles, and I also have a cover guide, because I know a lot of comic readers are collectors, so it matters to people what cover they have. So here you can keep track of all the different covers for Fiendish, and if you click on these, it pops open, and I have when it's published, and the differences between the editions and who they're by. So all this information is in the cover guide, and I'm pretty proud of having this. I think this is a great idea. So these are my campaign covers to the right, and then the permanent cover here. So yeah, check it out. Much appreciated. And one more thing I want to shout out: Global Comics, that is the digital comic reading platform that I mentioned. Global Comics is great. It's essentially like webtoons, but more suited for, I think, Western comics, because the images aren't like only 800 pixels across. You can read them at really high resolution. They have multiple reading formats. You can read it as like a 2-page spread, like as if you were reading a comic with the 2 pages, or you can read it page by page, or you can read it panel by panel. They have this mode where the creator goes behind the scenes and kind of like crops down each screen to just a panel. So it's essentially this very cinematic, more immersive way of reading the comic, where it's panel by panel, and it's really helpful if you're reading on the phone. Like, I wouldn't recommend that on your computer. I don't like reading that way on the computer, but you can read it in, I think it's called the frame mode or something like that. But I have that activated for all 3 chapters of Fiendish. Let's see if I can click through chapter 2.5, and we can. Cool. It's pretty cool. So if you, I have a little preview for, oh, there you go. So here it is. Like, this would look cooler on the phone, but that's the panel by panel reading. It's
Someone
like that.
Said Casimir versus the Eggbeater, who would win? Casimir, he has magic.
Well, yeah. See, this is what's a little.
Wait, go back down. Go down to the bottom again. Find out more at fiendiscomic.com.
Oh, shit! Ali, you are a wizard at catching typos. I will fix that. Thank you. It's fiendishcomic.com. Please ignore that. Go to this website instead.
Amazing, and by the way, Ali. I'm an editor. You can hire me, and I'll do that.
Yes. Yeah, she will do that. She will indeed. Oh, I appreciate it. I am not an editor. I just do my best. But here we go. This is
I didn't want to embarrass you like I did with Jake's.
It's fine.
Comic page, but Yeah.
It's okay. I know that you will have no qualms about calling out people's typos on stream, so it's fine. But you see, I can take critique. I will go and correct that typo because I want to improve. So thank you. But yeah, here's the frame reading mode. The rest of the comic is behind a paywall. But anyways, check it out. Fiendish on Global Comics. I'll drop this link in the chat. If you would be so kind, please go there and give the series a like and a subscribe. Renie has dyslexia confirmed. I mean, I'm decently good at spelling, but I am not an editor. I never claimed to be a genius at spelling. I just like kind of bungle my way through story writing. And I draw really good, and that makes up for everything. So that's how I function. All right. I think that's about it.
You do a good job. I almost never. I think when you showed me an early copy of Fiendish 2, I think I only found like 2 things.
When I'm actually a book is going to print, I definitely like I type that description super quickly. But when a book is going to print, I have my team reads it. I run it through spell check. Like when a book is going to print, that's totally different. I am not. I don't. I think I had one.
Yeah.
It kind of is because I have a lot of fantasy words in Fiendish that I made up, so spell check will tell me something's wrong when it's not. And I have characters that have accents. So when I write the accent in, then spell check is like, this is all wrong. It's like, it's not wrong. They have a fucking accent. But
exactly. I've been trying to tell people you need a human to edit fantasy and sci-fi.
That's true. That's true.
AI can't compensate for that.
I agree. You need a human for certain things. Still.
Can Renie spell her last name?
No, I can't. Herpeter Strikalalansky. When am I releasing my sketchbook? If you're talking about my Demon Girls art book, sometime next year? It won't be too long. I just need to get stuff colored. Like all the art is done. I have like 45 pages of just like hot girl art ready to go. The cover needs to be done, and I need to color a bunch of the interiors. Like not everything will be colored, but most of it will a lot of it will be. So I need to get a bunch. I have like a couple of colorists, and I'm gonna do some pieces myself. So anyways, Heroes, that would be nice if I could have it ready by Heroes. That's a good goal. So I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say I'll try to have that Demon Girl sketchbook ready by Heroes, and I'd like to have Fiendish 3 launched by then. So if I could have an active campaign, Heroes is in June. That would be great. So that'll get on that.
I'm gonna try and be at Heroes Con as well.
Yeah, Heroes is great. Yeah, I'm hoping that I will be back there. I'm planning to. And if everyone else, if you're looking for a very art and comic focused convention, Heroes is fantastic. It's a very artist alley is most of the show floor. It's one of the few Comic Cons that still do that. So you really, if you are a fan of comics, if you like art, then I would recommend going. If you're an exhibitor, if you're a creator, I would recommend trying to exhibit there, because it's people who go there really love comics, and people are open to independent series, they buy original art, all that kind of stuff. It's really great. And yeah, it's not like huge and too big, so it's just right.
You and I teamed up recently to do a comic together.
Oh, yes. We did. My.
It's just a 5-page floppy for Will Perdomo's book, but I'm really proud of the script, and I'm really excited to see what you do with it, because it'll be like the first time that it's been you and I just like working together. I don't know if you've looked at it yet, but I'm pretty excited about it.
I haven't. I've been too busy trying to finish pages, but I have no doubt it will be amazing. Yeah, I apologize. But we will have a collaboration coming out soon. So if you want to see our powers combined, keep your eyes out for that.
Our powers combined.
Powers combined. Oh! All right. I think that about wraps it up.
This is the longest one we've done in a while, too.
It has. I'm surprised. I think we did pretty good for me not preparing anything. I'm just like, oh, I want to talk about power scaling today. So thank you
to the chat. I didn't prepare either.
It's fine. Thank you for being able to talk about power scaling last minute and figuring out what to say. So as usual, wonderful discussion. And thank you to the chat for asking such great questions so I can continue the show and have something to answer and talk about. So we would be nothing without you. Thank you to the mods as well, everybody that's been linking to our stuff and all the mods that have been wrenching and, you know, helping out in the chat, and people that have also given memberships, much appreciated. And of course the members for supporting the channel. You guys all rock. Everybody in chat, you rock. The next show will be on ALI's. Go.
It'll be on ALI's on December 30th, which is a Monday.
Yes. Okay, cool. There you go.
December 30th. Mine.
Yeah. Oh, third person. Cool. It'll be on, yes, it's a rotating show. By rotating, it means just between the two of our channels. Every 2 weeks. Is it bi-weekly? Is that how you say? Bi-weekly show? But there's a playlist in the description. If you just follow the playlist, you should be able to see older shows, and you can follow ALI's channel that way. Also, ALI's channel is linked to the in the description. Jonathan Justice, I didn't see you earlier. Good night.
I've put every single one of them in a playlist, and I have been busy translating them into like a podcast that we can put onto Spotify as well.
Cool. That would be great.
Which I asked you about, but you probably forgot.
I probably did forget, but I will answer right now that I think that's a great idea. YouTube does let you make, if you have like a recurring show like this, they let you make it into a podcast. So yeah, let's do that. It effectively is a podcast.
Is good.
Yes, it is indeed. Maybe you'll find us on Spotify soon. All right. With that said, I will play the outro. Oh yeah, join me, Creative Block, my other writing, world building, comic talk show is on Thursdays. It'll be on my channel, so I'm hosting 2 shows this week. But yes, Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, I'll be hosting Creative Block with the dudes, with the boys. So come by and check that out. We'll see you guys.
It happens at the same time as my show that is less cool and less informative.
I'm sorry, we didn't plan to stream at the same time as you, but
it's fine.
You can, if you could just be in both streams at the same time, and that would be great, guys.
You'll definitely really learn more from Creative Block for sure.
Well, yes. I mean, hopefully. Debatable. All right.
Drink your voice. Go away now. Yeah.
Go away now. Bye.